Hi, I'm Martin McGrath from Financial Ledger, and we specialise in helping people with their retirement and making sure their money lasts. One of the biggest fears I hear from people when they're retiring is, how do I make sure my money's not going to run out? And so there's some steps and some checklists that we work through with clients, both when we set it up and every single year, to make sure that doesn't happen. As a bit of a simple guideline today, I want to touch on a few things, and they are as follows. One, ideally, if you can, you want to live off the income of your money and not the capital. So what I mean by that is, you might have $1 million that might be invested and earning you 30 or 40 grand a year. If that's enough for you to live off, at the end of that year, you just take, or throughout the year, you take 30 or 40 grand. At the end of the year, you still got $1 million. You do the same thing the year after, the same thing the year after. Ideally, your million's growing if it's invested. But what that means is, you're not tapping into the capital. That money you've got originally, you're never tapping into that. Now, that's the desired result, but because of the amount of money you need to do that, that's not what a lot of people can do. But ideally, that's where we want to get to, and that's when we set our target. That's where we want to end up. It's important, as part of that process, is to invest in a balanced portfolio so that you're getting some income, but you're also getting some growth. So what that means is that your money can continue to grow. So even if you are tapping into a bit of that money every year and living off some of your capital, the capital you've got left can actually still grow. So I mean, not just leaving it all in cash, but having some exposed to the markets in shares and property and international shares, etc., so that it continue to grow. So effectively, the bit you take out ideally can grow and be replaced, and effectively you're still preserving as much of that capital as possible. If you do need to, for income purposes or for whatever reason, tap into some of the capital, it's important you know and be aware just how much of that you're tapping into, and therefore how long that will last. So for example, if you had 100 grand and you wanted to take out 10 grand a year of capital, technically then that money would only last you 10 years, and you'd be run out of it after 10 years. There's some things that would change that maybe extend that a little bit, but that's kind of the example. So it's important to know as a percentage, this is where helping with an advisor or being really good numbers helps, how much of a percentage of the capital am I taking out? And you want that to be as low as possible so that it can last for as long as possible. Example, if you're only taking 2% of your capital, so 2 grand out of your 100, technically that should last for 50 years. And if you run out after 50 years, that's fine, because you'll be 110 or 120 and it won't really be your problem. So it's important to review that and ensure you know how that changes over time. Because what might happen is, when you retire, you are living a lot and spending a lot more money, and then as you get older, that may reduce. So that might be okay. We work with a lot of clients to make sure we do some projections to make sure that what they're living off is sufficient to last them all the way into retirement, into their 80s, 90s, and potentially up to 100, so that they're not going to run out of money, because often at that point you might have medical cost or living costs that may change as well. So hopefully that's some insight. There's a lot involved in this area. It's a lot of the work we do to make sure people's money's last, but there's some insights there to help you get started. If you want to have a chat, feel free to reach out and we can have a meeting.